Back as the country marks Mental Health Awareness Month, employers are being urged to become more involved in the psychological health of their workers. In fact, as the unfavorable economic environment becomes more tight for companies, losses related to poor productivity of unstable employees are being magnified. Well, Tracey Feinstein is with the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. She joins me now. Tracey, thanks indeed for coming in.
Thank you.
Well, let's just start with the picture at the moment. I mean, if we look at the staggering statistics you released earlier this year, depression at work is a reality in this country, isn't it? I mean, there are a large portion of people who are upset at work.
Yes, it is. Depression is a reality, and we need to start talking about it. It is an illness, but it can be treated. So as much as we've done a paper and the stats are out, some of the statistics are quite shocking, and I think it's important for employers to understand how does it affect their business. We're talking about 1 in 4 people actually being diagnosed with depression. It also means that we've identified that people are taking up to 18 days off, absenteeism, illness, off to work.
That's a year.
That's a year. Okay, so what does this mean to employers? It affects productivity. It affects bottom line. And I think the really important question is like, why depression? And very much it comes about because of stress, and it's about changes.
Yeah. Let's talk about the source while you're on that point. I mean, are people bringing depressive qualities that have their origins from outside work, or are work conditions really stressful, or are they both?
I think the two go hand in hand. Work conditions are extremely stressful. I've been privileged to be party to other presentations, and this new age of technology, the digital techno thing, we really need to make downtime and identify what are our stress triggers, what are our pressure points, so that we can actually slow down. That being said, it's not the topic for conversation today, but then you've got the other side of it, the home environment, and there is just no ways that you can actually separate and say, well, your home problems are your home problems. Now you're at work, you've got to focus. 74% of employees find that the effect of depression affects their cognitive behavior. And how does that manifest in the work environment? It means that they are not concentrating, they are indecisive, they are forgetful, so they're not making attention-focused decisions that are going to be beneficial to the working place.
Yeah, and of course, as you suggested earlier, that's a huge cost to the company.
Exactly.
And related to that, what's surprising is that if you consider your stat, 25% of managers thought that they do have good support to deal with this, which leaves us with 75% actually not knowing whether or not they've got the mechanisms to deal with depression in the workplace. That's a bit worrying, isn't it? It
is a bit worrying. I think there is that thing of, you know what, it's your issue. It said to the employee, it's your issue, so take it, sort it out. And I think a lot of people are also unaware that there actually is help out there. Yeah. And that is where, a place like SADC comes in. Yeah. People can phone us, even employers can phone us. And we've got a great database of referrals where we can send people. We can tell people actually how easy it is to get help. Yeah. Whether it be counseling, coaching, education, the list is endless. And what we try and do in the environment of SADC is to try and package a solution that's going to be beneficial to that particular person.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, just sticking by with the solution, if you look at colleagues trying to identify whether or not their co-workers are indeed depressed, it's a tricky one because it's not necessarily that you would see crying or depressive mood behaviors. Depression can show itself in many ways, can it not?
It can. This is the thing. And I think that's also what makes it almost judgmental at the moment. Yeah. Because, for example, if I feel that I'm depressed and severely stressed out, I might cry. Okay. And you will handle it completely differently. You might just withdraw. And so therefore our behavior is different, and therefore we're like, well, you're not depressed because I know what depression is. The other thing that's interesting is that men and women handle depression and stress very differently. And one of the things that happen in men particularly is they start to act out in a more aggressive and violent type of behavior. So you might find men in the workplace becoming aggressive, as in, I don't want to do this, and putting up their hand and saying no.
I've got 15 seconds on that point. We've seen a number of men recently, according to reports, actually committing suicide because of the stressful work and related economic conditions. How rife is this, very briefly?
It's huge. Suicide statistics in South Africa are sitting at 23 a day, and we're looking at 230 attempted suicides a day. That's another conversation on its own,
altogether.
But it's really serious.
Well, thanks very much indeed. We're going to have to leave it here. Tracey Feinstein from the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. Thanks very much indeed.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Now, we'll take a look at some international